Okay, well, good afternoon, everyone. I'm Denise Hutchison. I'm with BizNet Software, and I want to thank you for taking the time out today. We're going to be showing our product. It's pre-built for the Sage family of products, and I encourage questions, so feel free to ask them at any point. Also, this will not take a full hour, so we'll have lots of time for Q&A also at the end. I'm just going to really take you through one slide on our company, a little bit about BizNet itself, and then we'll jump into the demonstration. Our company's been in business since 1996. The product that you're going to see here is called BizInsight, first developed in 2005, so pretty mature product. We work with a lot of Sage resellers like ISM, over 200 and growing, and you can see that we have a very strong commitment to the Sage family. So this is now the rebranding for those Mass 9200 customers not familiar. That is now called Sage 100, and we do support one version of our product. And why that's important to you is if you should ever migrate from one platform, let's say as a 100 to a 500 customer, etc., we can actually maintain that investment as well as pull from both ERP solutions into the same report. So again, you know, kind of keeping that investment in those reports that you would build. We have been working with the Mass product lines for about 5 years, and those first customers bought our product to actually complement FRX, not replace it. So our roots are really strong core financials. As you'll see, it's no longer just financial reporting only. But this is really our roots. Our founders and ex-auditor technologists today, and our first clients, you know, address gaps in their reporting with FRX, things that they couldn't do as well with it as they could with BizNet, like consolidations, statistical analysis. The multi-currency was specific to Mass 500. With the retirement announcement, BizNet has been selected by 10 other publishers in the mid-market, so they bundle in BizNet for financial reporting. And we integrate to about 22 ERP solutions. And again, we do that with one version of our product. So the other thing I want to mention, just a quick commercial on our company, is we have the endorsement of analysts in the industry like Business Finance Magazine. K2 Enterprises is a consulting firm. They hold technology webinars to about, they estimate 10,000 accountants a year. And they, for the last 2 years, have, and they evaluate every type of product, not only just within Sage, but they've given BizNet their quality award for the best financial reporting tool and their choice for the best FRX replacement for the last 2 years running. So we're really proud to have their endorsement. We are a Microsoft shop, so this is all built on open industry standard technology, so there's nothing proprietary in the platform. There's a lot of Excel-based products in the space, but how they pull data into Excel can be challenging, and if they're real-time, they are challenged with performance in many cases, and most of them revert as you start getting any data size or data volumes at all to a data mart or a data warehouse, which means you're working always off of yesterday's data. We have a patent on how we pull data into Excel. It's called in-memory analytics, and it is unique to BizNet. So that's just a quick introduction, and if anyone has any questions, again, feel free to ask me. So as we jump into the demonstration, for those of you that are comfortable working in Excel, you'll see this is our user interface. We don't output to Excel. We work and do everything from within Excel, so most of our customers find BizNet very intuitive and very easy and fast to learn. So as a BizNet user, and by the way, I am showing Mass 500 today, and you can see here for that product line we integrate to GL, their multi-currency module, the product accounting module. We have expense and sales analysis. For the Mass 9200, or now the Sage 100 product line, we have GL, expense, and sales analysis integrations, and we're going to continue to extend to other modules, and we have the ability coming out this month for you to build your own custom connections. Our focus is on an FRX replacement, though, so we're going to focus on the financial reporting aspect of our product. And as you'll see, pre-built, we have out-of-the-box templates that you can leverage as a starting point for financial reports. We have functions that allow you to create your own reports, and the analysis sets are pre-built reports, and we'll look at each of these, that allows you to get to your data real-time on an ad hoc basis. So again, these are pre-built for you. in terms of a starting point, in creating BizNet reports, we can take your FRX reports and easily migrate them to BizNet. And if anyone wants to see me do that in the demo, after we build a simple report, I'm happy to do that. Just either let me know or submit something in the question box indicating that. So starting with your FRX reports would be one way. Any Excel spreadsheets that you've been maintaining, since we're native to Excel, they're very easy to create those as live connected reports. And then lastly, you might use one of our pre-built templates. So those would be maybe one of 3 common starting points. So this is a list of some of the templates. We have about 15 or 18 or so financial reporting templates that you can leverage. But this is really all tailored to your requirements. So you can modify our templates, delete these, reorder them, and as you create your own reports, you can add to this list and organize this any way you like. So now that your reports are built, open up Excel. You want to access the income statements. Just drag and drop the workbook into Excel, and at the time you drag it in, it is a real-time live linked report. Now this is still not static like you're used to working in Excel. This is a live linked interactive report. So this is looking at an income statement trend consolidated for all locations, which is one of my segments. And based on your requirements, you can have any number of parameters. If you want to isolate by company, department, division, location, you can have any number of these, what we call report parameters. Using the wildcard, I'm able to look at all locations in this example, or I could look at selective. So again, it allows me to dynamically change my view and interact with the database. I'm going to request a new fiscal year. You're going to see a banner flash. At a very high level, you just saw the in-memory analytics, and this is what's unique to BizNet. Instead of refreshing a cell by cell, which is what a lot of the products do if they're real-time and they go direct, which can be very slow, we bring in all of the balances for the fiscal year. We bring it in once, and then we cache it. So not only is it not repetitive, but we bring in a block of data. So now you'll see when I select 2008, that banner won't flash because we've already selected it, and that data is now cached in memory. And of course, once in memory, it's very fast. If you need to refresh the cache, you can force a refresh just by right-clicking. So you're not needlessly refreshing, but you can always make sure that your data is current. Reports are all dynamic and easily reformatted. I want to create a 6 or 12-month trend of this report. Just drag and drop the column, and your report is all reformatted. To drill down on a cell, let's say I want to see what makes up this total revenue number for the current period. Just simply right-click on the cell. You'll see all your standard Excel right-click options, and down here under BizNet Drill Down, you'll have the ability to look at balances or transaction detail in a pre-built list format or pivot table format. You don't have to know anything about pivot tables. This is all pre-built for you. So the list will just do that. It's a list of those transactions just in Excel. If you're working with a lot of detail, a pivot table can be kind of nice because you can organize it, slice and dice it, and isolate on selected transactions. So we're going to select that. Again, the banner, we're only bringing the detail as you request it, again, bringing it in once. And now in a pivot table, we've presented the accounts that make up that total revenue number, my number to the penny, and now we open up the GL field list. So now this allows your drill down to be dynamic. So if you want to look at, so it's not predefined, if you want to look at posting date, or posting comments, just select on the fields you want to see and it presents that information. It also allows you to kind of slice and dice this. So if I want to maybe see how this breaks down by my journal type, drag that field under the column label box, and this is what I mean by being able to kind of isolate and slice and dice this detail. So any field you can drag under by department or location, name your segments. Maybe I want to see how this breaks down by my transaction type for this revenue. And then I can drag any number of fields under the report filter box to further filter on that field. So maybe I want to only look at selected transaction dates, for example. If you get a format you prefer, you can save a new default drill down layout for yourself. So now I can look at the transaction detail just for any one of these individual numbers or for the total just by double clicking on that number. And now on a separate sheet, I get the transactions in a list format. And this is what you would have seen had you selected the list versus the pivot table option initially. So every drill down request creates a new sheet in your workbook, and you can save these or delete them or not save them like any other worksheet in Excel. So if we have any questions, feel free. I see a question here that says, yes, we can certainly send you the slideshow if you want. So this is what we're going to show you is the flexibility in the formatting, and we're going to create a report here in a minute from scratch. So one of the concepts is going to be kind of different. Because this is Excel, we don't have the traditional, you've got to define a row format and a traditional column format for a report. This is all cell-based. So not only can every cell bring in a different type of data, I can have a different function in every cell, I can pull in from different data sources and modules in the same report, but I can have one completely different format over here and another completely different format over on this part of my report. Also, it allows us to put anything in a row and anything in a column. So I actually have clients that want to put their companies or their cost centers in the row and their base accounts or their main accounts into the columns. Not a problem. Traditionally, accounts are in the rows, and you've got things like companies, departments, etc., and so all that we can certainly do. Also, we can have multiple values, certainly for any of your segments, and we'll look at lists and ranges and wildcards and all that good stuff. But also for periods and years. A lot of reporting tools are kind of challenged in that regard. I can have multiple periods, multiple quarters, and multiple years in a single cell. So this is looking at a quarter, so instead of drilling at a period of time, I can drill down on the whole quarter or the whole year, etc., however I build the report out. Also, we have some trend templates. So again, a little variation on the trend based on the current month. I can just put in my current month and get that 12-month rolling trend, so crossing year. So again, kind of all with full drill down. So let's take a look at how we create a report, because I think this is at this point what we've got lots of examples we can review here, but really how easy is it for you to create your own reports? And I think it's pretty easy, but I'll let you tell me. So what we're going to do is we're going to take a formatted sheet, kind of already semi-formatted to get started. But really, the key thing for our reports is the row formats. So we've got a simple example here with single accounts in the rows, and we're going to make this example more complex. Our row formats, just like FRX, can all be varied and as complex as you need them to be. So you can have a single account, a range here, a non-contiguous list, multiple ranges, adding or excluding from those ranges, wildcarding, and we'll cover all of those very easily. So you can copy and paste out of FRX row format into Excel. That's one way. And again, if anyone is interested in how we do that, just let me know. The other is, as I mentioned, you do not need to be a Mass user, Mass 90, 200, 500 user. And so what if you don't have access to an FRX report, or you're really truly working from scratch? How do I get those list of accounts? Well, this is where the analysis sets can be really handy. So we have two types of analysis sets. As I mentioned, out of the box, day one, you have reporting. So I've got pre-built lists and pivot tables, and I can just drag and drop these reports. These are real time, and this would give me access to my balances, transaction detail, budget versus actual, etc. So those just allows you to get to your data without having to build a report. But the other type of analysis sets is just our own list capability. So again, if I want to get a list of my main accounts or my base accounts, I'm just going to put in my company code, and then it's going to give me a list of those accounts. And then for this case, for this company, here's all my base accounts, my segment 1 in this case, but it'll be whatever your segments are. And I can copy and paste from this list into Excel. So again, copy and paste out of FRX row formats or our own list capability. And this gives me lists of everything. And these analysis sets, these are my budget types by company. These are always current and real time. Okay, so anything gets added, they certainly get added to the list. So we've got our lists, and now we're going to decide what we want in the columns. And you know, we've got a trend here. We've got periods. We can have a month to date over year to date. We've got a department report. Well, I'm going to go ahead and make this a department report because, believe it or not, there are some reporting tools that can't do consolidations very well with different charts. They can't do things like departmental reporting in the columns. So we're going to go ahead and just switch it up a little bit. And we're going to we'll put our department codes in here, and we're going to go ahead and use the wildcard to pull in all departments. So I just happen to know what they are, but again, I could come over to the list capability and see, in this case, what my segment 3 list is. So our functions need anywhere on the spreadsheet a valid company, a valid year, and a valid period. So again, the company codes could be in the columns, but in this case, they're just going to be up here as parameters along with my year and my period. Now we're ready to build the report out. We're going to come over to the function set. And you can see I can pull month to date, quarter-to-date, year-to-date budget data. And if I look at the functions, they're all called the same no matter what system you have. They're month-to-date net, and they're all going to look and work exactly the same. Remember, this is one version of our product. The table connections are different, but the mechanics and how this looks, you can't tell the difference from one system to the other. So if I look at the month-to-date functions, you'll see they're pretty intuitive in terms of the type of data. It's going to pull month-to-date net, credit, debit, beginning, ending balance, unposted. If you're keeping statistics associated with account, we'll pull the non-financial or statistical data, etc. I've got my year-to-date functions, so they're pretty logically named. So we're just going to use the month-to-date net function. We're going to drag and drop it into this first row, open it up, and this is a one-time process, and all we need to do is identify to BizNet where these arguments are in the spreadsheet. So I'm just going to do that through cell reference, click on the cell. It's going to make the cell reference, and then I'm going to hit the function 4 key to create my row, my anchoring. So this is going to basically tell me that company is always in column B, row 4. So if you're not familiar with the $ anchoring and the function 4 key, let me know. But this is what's going to allow me to drag and drop my function down and across my sheet. So again, year is always in that cell. Same with period. So column and row are absolute, so therefore the $. Now my segment 1 is my base account. I want to anchor the column. So we'll click on the column here, my first base account, and I'm going to anchor the column, but not the row as I drag it down. My segment 2 is a location segment. We're going to roll up all values for that segment. I want to build this out by department. So we're going to again click on the first department code, and again I want to anchor the row but not the column. So I'll hit F4 twice in this case. And now I'm done. Click OK. That's a one-time build. That's live linked to my mass database. I can simply drag that down. I'm going to go ahead and apply an Excel sum function here just to show you that all that functionality in Excel is compatible with BizNet. And now what we're going to do is we're going to bring in our segment description functions. So we'll bring in our segment 1 description. And you'll see all the functions work the same. So once you learn how to build one, which I think you can see is going to take you days to learn how to do, you can use any function in any module. They all work the same. They'll just maybe prompt you for different things. And we're going to go ahead and bring in our department description. And again, anchoring the row for the department. Drag it across. And we'll do a little reformatting here. And then what I've got is I've got the asterisk, which is unique to BizNet, and that is basically all departments. So we'll just put in all here. And let's just do a little reformatting, not much. And then now we can just simply drag the function down and drag it across. Now we're done. I can save that off. I don't have to do that again. Now, if I go ahead and add a department, just simply insert a column. This is Excel. I'm going to put in my department code, drag the functions over, and we just updated the report for the new department. So hopefully that looked pretty straightforward. As soon as you build a report, I can start changing parameters like period, and you'll see my report is all live linked to my mass database. I also do not have to do anything to set up the drill down. It's all pre-built for you. So let's look if there aren't any questions. If there are, please feel free to ask. So
Denise,
there's a question.
You have one question down there.
Yeah, I saw that.
Are you seeing that? Okay, good.
Yeah. So it says, but thank you because I'm not always checking. It says, so the question is are you saying if we create a new account in Mass, it will automatically appear in the BizNet even if the segment is also a new creation? Okay. So first off, yes and no. Certainly if you have things like ranges or wildcards, you know, account groups or anything like that in your row, it's going to show up in those ranges, wildcards automatically. If you have single accounts, there is a way to do that. You can build your reports using the list capability here, and it will automatically show up. The problem with the lists of the analysis sets is they're sequential, so they're always going to come in sequential order, which is not how you may want them. So I'm just going to delete a bunch of these accounts, say 1,500. So if you built your report using the analysis sets here, I open it up or I refresh the list, you'll see all those accounts automatically get added. So yes, you can build the reports that way, but it does limit you in terms of the formatting because you may not always want your account list. And you certainly could do a P&L. You could have your 4,000 to 499 accounts up here. You could have your expense accounts down here at the bottom and build a traditional P&L. But again, the accounts are going to come in. If you added 2,100, it's going to come in between those two accounts. And if that works for you, that's fine. It also limits the formatting when you use the analysis set. So there are ways to do that. But in answer to your question, yes and no. If I just build it through copying and pasting, then it doesn't automatically get added. A lot of our clients have like little control characters, so you can just see if anything's been added within the range or a group. We're using the wildcard. And to simply add an account is really simple, just like we added the department. Let's say I was going to add in, we'll just add in 7550 again here. Just add in the account, and then again you're just going to, whoops, sorry, I like undo here. We're going to just drag these functions, these segment and these functions down, and now you just added the account in. So, okay, so we'll undo the undo. So let's look at ranges, lists, and wildcards here. We built a very simple account, but basically I use the sum function too to show you that all that functionality works, but I can't drill down on that total. So I want to be able to see all expenses by department and even for the whole year with a single drill down. So not only can you drag and drop, but you can also copy and paste functions and then just edit them so you don't have to start from scratch. And what we're going to do is we're going to edit this function and create a total we can drill down on. We just simply need to select all the accounts. We're going to anchor it. We're going to click OK. And now drag it across. And now I've just created the total that I can drill down on. Okay, and if I do that, we'll do that real quickly. You'll see it's going to be made up of all those accounts. There's my number to the penny. So that's a list. So in BizNet, for your periods, your years, any of your segments, you can select multiple values. And so we'll show you a couple of different things. So that's a list. And what if you had a very long list for your rows? Well, let's say it's 10 or 15. To break those out into separate cells on every report like this could be very cumbersome. So in a lot of cases, we have one place we have a list or a lookup tab. So this is some sales accounts. I've just got 3, but it allows me to use the Excel name reference and create a list and just come over here to the name box and give it a name. And if you've never used that, you just very simply create whatever list you want of values. So let's say these were, and they can be any non-contiguous list. Let's say these were department codes. Maybe these were my admin departments. Just create the list, come over to the name box, and just give it the name like admin. So it also allows you to create groupings. So I don't have a region defined within my demo company, but using the location code, I want to create for reporting a grouping of location calls, and I want to give it a name called Region West and Region East. Now the way that's going to work is I can define those lists one time, and now instead of listing them in every report, in the function, I can simply reference the name. Okay, so there's my sales accounts, and there's my department, or my location codes. Okay, and we don't have anything for that department. If I delete department, you'll see it's going to give me that a number back. So that's the name reference list. So that's our lists. Our ranges, salaries was maybe a range of accounts. Simply selecting only 2 values for periods, years, and segments, it'll default as a range between those 2 values. So select 3 or more, it's a list. 2 or more, it's a range. If you want a list of 2, just replicate one of the numbers in the list, and it won't duplicate the number. So to create a range, I could open up the function like I did before and just select the 2 values like you saw me select the list, but I'm going to show you a shortcut. In Excel, if you aren't familiar, if you double-click on any Excel function, it basically kind of shows you what cells that function's referencing. So this is the sum of all those cells. Well, BizNet is the same thing. Double-click on a BizNet function, it shows you the cells you're referencing. So it's kind of nice if you want to make sure you built your function out right. Yes, I'm pulling from where I want, but I can also just easily extend the reference, hit enter, and very simply now we've just made salaries that range of accounts. Okay? If I drill down on that, I'll show you that it truly is that range of accounts. So range list, Wildcard is basically, I want to put the asterisk, which is our wildcard character, in any digit position. So now you can see telephone expense is now all 7,500 accounts. And then lastly, just to kind of cover some little bit more complex scenarios, maybe you have in a row you want to make multiple ranges, adding or excluding from the range. So again, this function is referencing a single cell, just like this function is. The difference is for this row, we want it to be, again, made up of multiple ranges, what we call a complex range list. And so we're using the argument name and creating just a statement. And if you're not sure, you open up the function, and it's called segment 1 in MAS 500, and MAS 90 it's called main account. You just pick the name of the function, and then you're going to use a logical statement for that. So this row is now going to be made up where I want segment to include this range of values, another range of values, but I want to exclude 9,600 from the ranges, and if I wanted to add accounts, I just take out the not. So this could go on forever. It has no limitation to how many ranges you want to specify, and they're all dynamic. So if I want to change the values in the range, like now include 5,000 accounts, you'll see my numbers change, and again, when I drill down on that, you'll see it's made up of all those accounts, excluding 9,600. So hopefully get a sense of the flexibility, and again, all your row formats could all be different, as I just showed you. So again, if anyone is interested in FRX, I can go into FRX, copy the row format, build a report from scratch. So I didn't see anybody asking for that. Hopefully that's pretty clear on how you would do that. Okay, so let's look at a couple other examples here. We did a departmental report. Let's look at consolidations. That's really a strength for us, and just want to mention how that would work. For those of you that have multiple companies, same chart across companies, you can see very simply, instead of having the department codes here, I would simply have my company codes, anchor the company just like we did the department for the row, and the mechanics are the same. Drag the function across, it's going to pick up the company code in each column. But what if you have different charts, different fiscal calendars, and you're trying to build a consolidation income statement? So let's look at that scenario. This is an example of that report, and very simply, these two companies have totally different charts of accounts. So now I can't just drag and drop, but I'm just simply referencing a different column. So this company is referencing 4100 base as a 4-digit base in this company code, and in this column, this function is referencing this company code and a 5-digit base account. So they can all have completely different charts of accounts, and if there is any questions, let me know. I'm moving through these examples pretty quickly. We don't have trees in BizNet, but we can replicate any trees, and for a lot of our clients, they find the way we do it easier to build. Trees are a really nice feature, and this is kind of our replication of a tree. So you can create any kind of roll-up you want. Basically, I've got, let's say, West location, and it rolls into a region, which rolls into all regions. Okay, so the way we're building it, and again, I've just got this in the same report here, and actually I need to change this. I'm going to make this look a little easier to view. Let me change this up a little bit here, so you can just see you really just need the 1 values in the matrix here. So what we're going to do is you'll see the way this works. Oops, I just think I wanted to add 10, 20, 30 here. Sorry, 10, 20, 30. I took out too many. Okay, so the way this is going to work is notice that the functions here, just going to create a table lookup very simply, and the functions are being driven off what we call the current selection. So I don't ever have to, I can maintain and change my table order around. I can add values very easily, and you'll see that my tables are being driven off here. And if I needed to ever extend, I could just simply extend the reference out here if I had another location I was going to add. So it's very simple to maintain. So as I change the selection here, like say West, you'll see it's going to just create the 00 value. So you can have multiple ranges. So it's very simple to build, very visual. And again, I have it on the same sheet here, but in a lot of cases it's on a separate tab that all the reports are driven off of. So very simple example, but I just wanted to get the concept across. It's what we call a virtual roll-up, and it works really, really easily in BizNet. Very easy to build as well. Okay, let's cover what we're going to do right now is we're going to cover the budgeting aspect. We're then going to definitely cover report distribution, and if we have time, we'll look at very briefly just the expense or sales analysis. I'll briefly describe what they do in any case. So we'll be adding inventory and payroll and other modules as well, as I mentioned. So notice too, you can have as many templates open as you want, as many Excel workbooks. It just opens up another instance of Excel. And you also do not have to worry about locking down these spreadsheets like you normally do with Excel. BizNet users can come in, they can play with the numbers, they can modify these reports, add their own formulas. Even if they hit save, they will save a version for themselves. They will not corrupt the templates for other users. And since we're read-only to mass, we never write back, so there's we won't change any data. So no concerns about either report corruption or data corruption. Okay, so let's look at budgets real quick. Again, for those of you doing budgeting, very simple report to build. Again, these are just examples that you can tailor, but they can leverage from. So I've got the idea here is you build your report once. You just need to change the parameters up here and never have to retouch the body of the report. So this is using the same month-to-date net function for a current actual period. I've got very simply the budget month-to-date net function. And the only difference between these two is the budget functions are asking me for the budget version or type in mass. So as you revise or add budgets, just reference whatever you've called it in mass and all your numbers change. This is looking at the current year month-to-date actual, or the prior year rather. And so I'm taking the current year minus 1 to always get the prior year. Standard formulas in Excel to calculate variances. And I've got my year-to-date net, my year-to-date budget, my prior year-to-date net. The only other column I could have would be if I wanted to look at total budget or calculate remaining budget, I could bring in the budget year-to-date ending balance function for that. So again, this is allowing me to have one spreadsheet consolidated for all departments, locations, as opposed so I can look at it individually or look at all. Another type of report we typically see is this is typically a manual process where you've got some number of actual periods against a forecast. But to update this in BizNet, just drag and drop your column over, and your report is all easily updated and reformatted for the new period. And then if you wanted to reset for your new budgeting year, just roll back, change your type, budget type in your year, and your report is good to go. So again, the idea is build the reports once, and they're all dynamically changeable. Lastly, I think Excel is good for what-if scenarios. We've got a couple of what-if scenarios here. We'll just look at one. This is kind of a variation on the trend. This is based on the current period, December. It's giving me 6 months of actual trending against 6 months of a forecast. Could be 12 and 12, doesn't have to be 6, but I'll back up my year a little bit here. And then you can see we've got the forecast numbers, and then we're doing our what-ifs. So we're adding percentages and or flat rates, or percentages and or flat rate to the formulas or to the functions. So you can add calculations to our functions, just like Excel. And we're opening here. If I look at the expense side, you'll see that I've got basically my forecast numbers. So I'll change. Let's say I want to look at revenue by increasing only 5%. Maybe I want to decrease expenses an additional 15%. So you can just play and do your what-ifs. Now this is Excel. I'm just doing one flat rate or what-if scenario against my revenue and one against expenses, but you could certainly do it here on a line-by-line basis. So again, very, very simple to build and then be able to do your scenarios against real live linked data and whatever's reflected in your math system without having to export and do all the manipulation in Excel. So what we're going to do right now is we'll just briefly describe some of these modules and then go into report distribution, and we'll wrap it up with Q&A. Just very good for dashboarding. We've got all kinds of dashboards, but this is kind of an illustration of showing pulling from 3 different modules into the same report. So I've got GL, AP, and AR, and I can do all kinds of with the sales and expense. You can do all kinds of rankings for sales by customer sales, territory salesperson. You can look at rankings top and bottom expenses. I can see where my most expensive purchases were by quantity, by vendor, by item, by product line, etc. We also have all of the aged payables and aged receivables calculations for those modules. So again, there's a lot there. There's a tremendous amount of functionality and functions that you can have. You can also look at your most profitable or your least profitable customers or territory or whatever you want. So, and then you can do sales by week, by month, by quarter, by year, and these give you all the rankings. So there's just a lot of information here. And again, just to kind of give you a little one, this is a kind of a dashboard sales ranking, and we can just put in the current month, and it gives me all my top customer sales ranks. Okay, so I can look at my top 100 or my bottom 100. So it recalculates the rankings and your dashboards. So same idea for expenses and purchases and vendors as it is to customers and sales. So, and you've got all of the aging capability. So lastly, let's look at report distribution, because that's a real strength of the system. If you're doing distribution manually, creating emails, PDFs, we can automate that whole process for you. So I'm going to take my workbook here now that we've got all these reports built. How do we get them easily out to our non-BizNet users? And what you're going to see I can do is I can take one set of reports and I can tailor the content, the format, and the message delivery by report. So I've got basically a workbook here. I'm just distributing it out by location, but there's no limit to the number of distribution parameters I can tailor this by. So if you want to send reports out tailored by company, department, division, certainly can do all of that. So we've got a workbook here. I've got my cover sheet, today's date. Here's my income statement I'm sending out by location, my expense report. I've got a dashboard tab in here. And the first time in to set this up, you're going to come up to the Biz Broadcast ribbon, which is what it's the name of our publication component. You're going to click on New Distribution Template. It's going to insert this formatted tab into your workbook, and then in Excel one time you'll define your distribution requirements. So you do that by specifying for each report what's the format. Is it a PDF? Is it a values-only Excel spreadsheet? And again, you can specify whatever version of Excel they have, and as a BizNet or non-BizNet user, you can be on versions 2003, 7, and 10 concurrently. Maybe you want to publish out to a portal or SharePoint, something like that in HTML format. Typically, it's PDF and Excel. So what's the format? How do you want to publish it to them? Is it a folder, an email? You can do both. You can have any number of emails here in this one cell. You can utilize distribution lists. The only reason I have a different line specified here is not because I'm sending it to different people, but because I'm sending completely different content of the report. You can then specify what tabs you're going to include for each report. So notice, for example, here Janet's the only one getting the dashboard tab. If you're emailing, you can send other types of documents, put text in the body, you do all of the above. We'll just put some text in here. And then this is where you're going to tailor the content. And again, I just have one parameter, but you can have as many as you need. So Fred is going to get the report in a PDF just for Dallas. Janet's going to get a spreadsheet just for Miami. And notice Tom here, he's going to get, we're passing 4 parameters. So he's actually going to get 4 income statements, 4 expense reports. He's going to get it consolidated and then each location broken out. And we don't have 4 tabs we have to maintain. We're doing it with 1 tab. So we do support scheduling. But for financial reports, most people want to publish on demand. You can see my outbox is empty. It's also offline, so we could take a look at these. But if they were online, they would be sent. So every month, once you've set this up, the only thing you need to do is hit this big exclamation point to publish on demand, and it will generate all those reports and publish them out for you. So there's no more creating PDFs, emails, doing any of that manually. And what you're going to see here when these are done, these are going to all look very, very different. They're not even going to look like they were published at the same time. So here's our emails, and we'll take a look at these. So here's our text, and remember Fred got the report just for Dallas. Here's his cover sheet tailored. We bookmarked the PDF so you can see what's on each page. Here's his income statement and expense reports tailored for Dallas. Looking at Janet, she got the Excel spreadsheet for Miami. She also got the dashboard. Here's her cover sheet tailored. Her values-only static Excel spreadsheets, okay, for Miami. And then here's the dashboard that she got. And then lastly, Tom got the PDF here, which is kind of a cool feature because, again, we passed 4 parameters. So instead of getting 2 reports, he actually got 8. So again, the bookmarking is nice because you can kind of see here's all of his income statements and expense reports. You see what's on each page. So again, hopefully that could save you some time if distribution is a manual process for you today.